Salutations, Stan the Fan Charles.
Back at you, Glenn Clark. Good to see you. And the Orioles are no longer Alonso-less.
That's correct. It became official today as the press conference will be tomorrow, right?
Yep.
You heading out there? Is Pete Alonso calling you right now to make
No,
sure that you're going to
that
be at
was
his
my
press
brother
conference
Alan
tomorrow?
calling me. But I have two questions.
hmm
Number one, do you think it's appropriate to ask Pete Alonso tomorrow, whose nickname is the Polar Bear,
hmm
if he'd consider doing the Polar Bear plunge?
I think that there would be folks at some media partners that would be very happy if you would ask that question.
Um,
um,
Exciting news, though. And the
yeah,
other question I had, there's a famous bar restaurant in on Cold Spring
that's
Lane,
correct. One of our
Alonzo's.
favorites. Yeah.
Is there any truth that he owns that
I don't
restaurant?
believe he owns it. I believe it's the folks. What's the Indian place next door that I think they now own Alonzo's
Yeah.
as well. And we've had some great nights.
It used to be what's his name that owned Miss Shirley's,
Correct.
owned
Why
Alonzo's
can I
and
not
the
think? What's the name of the little Indian place right next door? Because you
yeah, I
can
don't
actually get
remember.
food from there at Alonzo's now too.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Our
Oh,
friend John Colson has spent many a night at
many a night
Alonzo's,
in
and
Alonzo's.
look, all of us have. I've worked whether when we were working in Hamden, when I work at Loyola.
Yeah,
I've spent plenty of night. Not many as many as Jarrett Johnson did. I think I
yeah,
still am a little bit behind him because he spent
yeah.
almost every night there.
All right,
But yeah,
Glenn.
exciting week.
Yeah, tell everybody who we're brought to you by, and then
Well, of
we'll get
course,
into business.
we are brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER and helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, then please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free, confidential, and truly life-saving services. This is a very difficult time of the year between seasonal depression and people that are realizing that they have maybe squandered some of their finances ahead of the holidays. This is a time where we need to save lives. And I'm not saying this to be trite because we have fun and we make picks. And for a lot of people, betting can be fun and entertaining. But this time of year is when these issues become very, very serious. If you are going through something, if you know someone who's going through something related to betting, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org. Get on the
Or,
road.
or Glenn, if you suspect that you have a family member in crisis
100%.
and you don't know what to do,
Yep. How to
you
help.
can call that hotline confidentially and get some advice on how you can handle it internally.
No question. And Stan, of
Eh,
course, we're
Brought
also
to you
brought to you
by
by.
Costa Sin.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry, Glenn, stepping over you. The Costa Sin with two great locations. The original classic location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, which is the one that serves steamed crabs 7 days a week for lunch and for dinner. Call them at 410-477-1975 to check out availability, price point, sizes, so you don't disappoint or show up and they're out of craps. Okay. And the other location, Glenn, high above the Timonium racetrack on the grandstand, up above the grandstand, right next to the OTB. Lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Holiday season, great time to try the place out for lunch or dinner.
Stan, I would be okay. I don't know how you feel about it if we stop picking games and we just did parlay twists moving forward.
I would not be in favor of that,
Oh, all
because
right.
I'm still in the same zip code as you. I've fallen behind you in the grand total, but I am way behind you. You have a +3 in your pocket, and I have a -3. You've been 3-0 on the parlay twist. New wrinkle we've had where you pick a game and you make it your parlay twist game, and you pick the outright winner and the over under and Glenn is 3-0. I'm 0-3 on that. But on the regular picks, and at the end of the season, Glenn's 3 there comes back to haunt me. But he is 21-22 and the +3. And I am 18-24-1 with a -3. So
Let's
I've
find
got.
some. Let's find some winners this week. Let's
I'm going to
find some
try. I'm
winners.
going to
Let's
try.
do
It's
that.
my week
Let's
to go
mix it up.
first. But we'll go to the Ravens game. And Glenn, the Ravens are playing in Cincinnati. They got spanked pretty good a couple of weeks ago. And the Ravens are favored in this game by 2.5 points. They're playing the Cincinnati Bengals. And Glenn, I will just say this: had the Bengals been able to stay in front of Buffalo last week,
Mm-hmm.
this would be a really huge game for Cincinnati trying to get back into things. Do we think, and I will know in a minute when we make our picks, do we think that they may have a little bit of a letdown because they now face a really almost
Desperate,
impossible
yes.
task? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 2.5 points. My thumb is up if I like the Ravens. My thumb is down if I don't like the Ravens. And Glenn obviously has the placards there. All right, in 3, 2, 1, go. I changed.
Stan
I
getting
changed at the
froggy.
last minute,
Go
Glenn.
ahead.
You and I, just before we went on, I said I was going to take the Ravens. I keep thinking back, this defense, and I don't see any creativity by Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator, at creating a pass rush. It's okay for a team not to have a great front four, but you have to figure some
Yeah.
ways, devise some ways to get some pressure on it. And without that pressure, I just think I think the Ravens can win the game by a point or two, but it won't surprise me at all if Cincinnati wins this game outright.
Stan, the only reason I'm picking the Ravens is because I think the line is wrong. I don't think there's any world in which the Ravens belong as
As a
favorites
favorite.
on the road. If this was a pick 'em, I'd be on the Bengals. I'm only taking the Ravens because
Okay.
I think the line is stinky. That's it. I think it's a
Yeah.
stinky line. Now, maybe some of that is that Vegas has just been reluctant to acknowledge exactly what the Ravens are and have been. I can talk myself into the Ravens aren't going to turn the ball over five. I don't think. I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to turn the ball over 5 times
Yeah.
again. And that still is probably the biggest story of what happened on Thanksgiving. And had they not done that, that's probably a different outcome. But I don't think the Ravens deserve to be favorites in Cincinnati on Sunday. When the line opened at 3, I started to watch the movement. It got down to 1.5. I thought it was going to get all the way
To
down
a
to a
pick
pick
'em.
'em. It never got there. It went back the other way. It just tells me that somebody has a gut feeling about something in this
Yeah.
game, and what that is, I don't know. I really don't. We can say that we think the Bengals are going to have a letdown and that they probably were eliminated by that loss last week, but does anybody think it's impossible that the winner of the AFC North isn't going to finish 8-9?
Yeah.
Um,
Not impossible.
I
All right.
realize that means the Steelers would have to lose to either the Dolphins or the Browns, but I think they're capable of losing to either one
Well,
of those teams.
well, we have an honest disagreement on this game. I think the game, I'll tell you what, if the Ravens win, I think it's going to be a close game.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Cincinnati beating the Ravens just as easily as they did last
I,
time.
I could see Cincinnati winning by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I just don't like the line.
I
All
got you.
right,
I
all right,
got you.
Stan.
My week to go first, and I'm going to take one of the hottest teams in the National Football League. They're home. They're 9.5 point favorite over the Arizona Cardinals, who honestly, they played some good football this year, Arizona. They've played 4 or 5 close games, but they've seemed to have lost them all. They're catching a team right now that in CJ Stroud, he's playing fairly well. He played well enough in Kansas City for the first half and then like the last 10 minutes of the game to beat Kansas City in Kansas City. That makes me feel he can put up enough points. And I see this being like a 23-6, something like that. I don't see Arizona putting up many points against this Houston defense.
I almost think it's been cruel the way that we have treated the Arizona Cardinals because we have essentially just targeted the Arizona
I
Cardinals in
think
the
we're
last
10
month.
0 against Arizona.
Yeah, and that's the only points it feels like we've gotten in recent weeks
Yeah.
by picking
Yeah.
against Arizona. Stan, I'm doing something that I hate. I'm going with a game that has a huge line, and this is a situation where I feel like the football gods are going to choose to intervene. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks as my lock winner, as they are giving 13.5 points against a team that is in the thick of a playoff race in the Indianapolis Colts. But I know we're having fun with the idea of Phillip Rivers. I know it's sort of silly and it's cute.
Is he going to be active Sunday?
I don't know what the plan is going to be yet for Sunday. They're still talking about the idea that he might start, but he could actually start just as a practice squad elevation. They
Yeah.
wouldn't have to put him on the roster. And it gets really wonky because Phillip Rivers could actually keep his Hall of Fame eligibility if he's never elevated to the active roster this year. So he could technically play 3 games and not restart his clock.
Wow.
Like, there's a lot of wonky involved with this Phillip Rivers thing.
Yeah.
And so my gut tells me that whether he starts or not, he's going to be elevated for the game, and they're going to see what happens. Whatever happens, this shouldn't be happening. We should, as a society, instead of saying, wow, this is really interesting, be willing to step in and say, if a 44-year-old can walk away from football 5 years ago and just step back in and succeed without practice, without training camp, then it feels like the game is a little bit of a farce.
You know, in boxing, they very much would have a process as sort of illegitimate as boxing is.
Yep.
You'd have to pass certain, health guidelines to be able to box again after a layoff like that at that age.
Look, maybe Phillip Rivers has been training. The way he looks, he doesn't look like someone who's been doing hardcore training, but
right.
I'm not trying to fat shame. I don't look like somebody who's been doing hardcore training. He looks like a guy who's been out of football for a few years. I bet that he can still throw the ball. I bet he's still plenty capable of that. But I think the football gods are intervening here. And I think they're saying loudly, this shouldn't happen. This is farcical. This is not a fun or a neat story. This is kind of a pox on the NFL that we're all going along with this. And so whether he starts or not, I think the football gods are getting involved with this game. I also think I like Mike McDonald's defense going up against either Phillip Rivers or Riley Leonard on Sunday. Yeah. I think this is a butt kicking.
I agree with you. Glenn. I agree with you on both your pick and your commentary there. My lock loser this week, Glenn, is the Cleveland Browns, who lost at home last week to the Tennessee Titans. But that's not really the reason. They're going into Chicago, and they're getting 7.5 points. But the Bears have been playing some really good football, and they were right there with the Packers late last week. And I think their defense is playing some really good football too. I don't think this is a close match at all. I think the Bears are really going to take out some frustration from last week's loss on a sort of hapless Cleveland Browns team.
Yeah.
And nearing the end, I think, of the Kevin Stefanski.
I think that's
there. And I feel bad for him because I think he's probably a fairly decent football coach. But boy, is
I don't know that any of this is his fault.
Yeah, he's been blessed with terrible luck and a terrible owner, and just the whole Baker Mayfield thing, the way they handled that, just sort of disgusting, really.
Stan, look, the only catch is it's hard to figure out if Shedeur Sanders looked good last week because he is a quarterback or because he was playing the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
It might very well be that'll be the only time that we ever say that Shedeur Sanders looked like a competent NFL quarterback. But there's the slight chance that maybe he's growing into himself. That's the only thing I can lay out there. But I mostly believe that you are right about this and that the Bears are going to bounce back.
All right. Who's your lock loser, Glenn?
My lock loser is kind of a weird one because the team that I have winning doesn't have much of anything going for it whatsoever. But I'm going to go with the Commanders as my lock loser. And while I think they're smartly going back away from Jaden Daniels after he got banged up again last week, they were utterly hapless. Utterly and completely against the Vikings team that had nothing.
Twist.
Yeah.
By the way,
nailed it.
That was the first part of a parlay twist I think I won was the under in that football game.
Yeah, well, they helped
But I
you big
wasn't
time, the
real,
Commanders.
but I wasn't real close to winning the game.
No, not close at all. Um, the Commanders just look like a rudderless ship at the moment. I get it. They showed signs of life a couple weeks ago against the Broncos, and we kind of bought into it. But I think the way that ended proved to be pretty deflating for them, and that last sign of hope. On the flip side, this is a Giants team that, while they have nothing to play for, is coming off their bye, and they do have a young quarterback who I think is still inspired to try to look good and play well the rest of the way to solidify himself. Not that I think there's any doubt that he's going to be the starter next year, but just to solidify himself as a legitimate NFL quarterback going into 2026. So I'm going to buy into Jackson Dart looking the part on Sunday. And with that line only being 2.5, I'm going to make the Commanders my lock loser for the week.
All right, let's recap it. Glenn and I diverged on the Raven game. Glenn thinks the line stinks, thinks the Bengals should be favored, or at least the game should be a pick 'em. Ravens are favored by 2.5. He took the Ravens because he doesn't trust the line. I'm afraid that Joe Burrow is going to pick our defense apart again and be able to win this football game. And it's despite how he played in the second half, it's just, again, this offense doesn't have the rhythm they need to strike fear in anyone right now. And the defense just isn't very good. My lock winner is the Houston Texans, giving 9.5 at home versus the Arizona Cardinals. Glenn is going with the Seattle Seahawks, and the coach that I think should have been coaching the Ravens by now, Mike McDonald, he's giving 13.5 points to the Indianapolis Colts, whose number one quarterback, Daniel Jones, is out for the season and may miss part of next year, even with a ruptured Achilles. And did he also suffer a knee injury on that play?
I believe that is true, Stan.
But anyway, Glenn thinks Mike McDonald's defense is too much for, what's it, Riley Leonard?
Riley Leonard.
Or Phillip Rivers or whoever else they have there. And that's our lock winners. My lock loser is the Cleveland Browns getting 7.5 points at the Bears. And I think the Bears will manhandle Cleveland both on offense, and they will score a little bit. Well, not at will, but I think it's a fairly easy win for the Bears. And Washington is Glenn's lock loser. They're getting 2.5 points. Glenn thinks the Giants will best them by at least 3 points. We've been brought to you, Glenn, by
1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, and the Costa Sin, including the new Costa Sin in Timonium. And Stan, I got one more plug for you. This Monday night, for a long time, our friend Drew Forrester and I have been doing what we can to try to help the Helping Up mission downtown and the amazing work they do. And this Monday night, we're going to be hanging out again at Chick-fil-A Nottingham Square, 5198 Campbell Boulevard from 6 to 8 p.m.
Who's the owner out there? Give him a plug.
Our friend Steve Pavlovsky, who I love dearly, and who
He's always stepped up. He's always stepping
he's done it. Once upon a time, sent a limo for our friend Mo Gaba to bring him out. And Steve, every year I think I'm out. I think, he always says, no, we got to have a servant's heart. We got to do what we can to lift people up. And so this year, we're going to bring Ravens wide receiver Tez Walker out on Monday night, and he'll be hanging out. So if you could come out from 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday night at Chick-fil-A Nottingham Square, bring coats, bring any clothes you have, gently used. If it's something you need to throw it away. But if it's something that someone else can wear and can lift them up this season, then please bring it out to us. And with your donation, you'll meet Tez and you'll get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Glenn, that must have been 4 years ago now that it was the first time I ever met Mo. It was out at and we had Bozeman.
It was Bradley Bose. It was 6 years ago, Stan. It was
6 years ago.
2019.
Wow. And I'll never forget, Mo Gaba reached out and felt Bozeman's bicep, and he goes, man, you're strong, or
Yeah.
something like that.
It
And I
was
said, Mo, don't you want to touch my arm? And he said, Stan the fan, you're not strong like that.
not quite like that.
Yeah.
One
Anyway,
of my favorite nights that we've ever,
yeah,
not just that you and I have shared together, but I would say one of my favorite nights of my life.
yeah. That was
That
a
night, it
great
was a
night.
really
Great night.
special
Mo
night.
was in good spirits and
Yeah.
having a good time.
So
All right,
yeah,
that's going to do it. We've got business tomorrow. We've got Buck Showalter on.
yeah. Buck Showalter, of course, managed Pete Alonso in New
And
York.
he's willing to talk to me live.
In fact, I think he was excited to find out that
Okay.
you were going to be there, Stan. I think that's the case. And we'll be previewing Army Navy as well. And I guess we will unveil the cover of the next, or we can at least talk up the cover of the new print issue of
That'll
Press
be
Box.
streets next week. Yeah,
So
best of
all that on Glenn Clark Radio tomorrow.
All right, and the winner of the Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year.
Yep.
All right, it was a tough year to pick anyone.
Tough year, no doubt.
All right.
All right, Stanley.
Look forward to seeing you soon, Glenn.
Sounds
Bye.
good, sir.